There you go. And we're back.
And we're back.
You gotta get up close to that mic.
Oh yeah. I need to be up close. Yeah.
So we can get all that nice bass sound.
Yeah. Sometimes people told me that I have a very good voice for radio. Is that right?
You do. It's very silky and deep.
But is that a thing people say, that someone has a good voice for radio because they don't have the look for TV?
That is also a thing that is said, yes. Sometimes.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a Zambaland podcast. It's your boy GNL Zamba, Ben Wilkins by my side right now. And we have so many topics to explore today.
We do?
Yeah, we do. I enjoyed listening to your EP.
Oh, thank you.
That came out. Is it an EP or is it an album? What's the distinction nowadays?
Well, I think it just sort of depends on how long it is and how many tracks it is.
Okay, we used to know an album is at least 10.
Yeah. And
an EP is 8. This was 8.
This was 8, yeah. But it's also sometimes length of music. Like you could have an album that's one song that's 50 minutes or something.
Oh, okay. Right? I see what you're saying.
So it's kind of length.
Yeah.
I think it comes from, it's back in the vinyl days. EP versus LP. Extended play versus long playing, right? So, yeah.
And I really enjoyed, one of the things that caught my mind was there were the songs that were titled, like, what was your inspiration for Freezing Rain? To me, that's like something in my mind. This is what I'm imagining in my mind. And you can tell me how far off I am from what you are imagining, right?
Okay.
So to me, Freezing Rain, I pictured this boy, and because it's a solo piano album, right?
Yeah.
And I'm picturing this boy in Canada, like looking outside his window, and there's rain, but that rain that runs in veins on the window that has become frozen.
Yeah.
And you're like looking out the window, and you know it's going to be a long winter. It's like some Game of Thrones type of shit.
Yeah, it's a lot like Game of Thrones in Canada.
Yeah. So what was happening, man?
Well, actually, Freezing Rain is a lot more beautiful than that sometimes.
Yeah.
We sometimes in Canada used to have ice storms where sometimes freezing rain will fall, and where it looks especially beautiful is when it hits a tree and all the little branches get a little layer of ice on them. Sometimes they can have as much as like half an inch of ice.
Interesting.
Or more.
Yeah.
So then now this tree that used to be green and, flowering is just like frozen, and it's like a skeleton that's covered in ice. It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah. I imagine it's beautiful. I had my very first winter. I'd always traveled to the US and traveled to Europe, but I always missed the winter. I'd never experienced winter until I think it was like 3 years ago. And I flew into Washington, and they were having a storm over there. It was both scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
Did you play hockey in Canada?
A little bit. I didn't play competitively, but my mother never wanted a son who couldn't skate, so I learned to skate.
Yeah.
And then I played pickup hockey and, played a little bit sort of more amateur-like. I was more into actually baseball and lacrosse.
Baseball and lacrosse. I think I know nothing about lacrosse. Lacrosse. Is it lacrosse or lacrosse?
Lacrosse.
It sounds like fructose, lactose, and sucrose. It's like a food or something. What's lacrosse about? So you're running with this ball in your basket.
Yeah.
And you throw it to your friend. Do they limit the steps that you can run?
No, you can run as much as you like. So let's go back a little bit. Lacrosse was a game invented by the Native Americans, and they used to play it sometimes as a way of ways of settling a dispute between tribes. Rather than go to war and have a lot of people killed, they would just have a lacrosse match.
See you at the lacrosse match.
Yeah, in exactly that voice. But they played it. They were pretty. It was pretty. It sometimes was a lot more violent. Like they would have a lacrosse stick in one hand and like a club in the other.
Oh wow!
And they would,
okay.
So they would get hurt and they would hurt each other, and sometimes they would die while playing.
Yeah.
But that was so that the whole village didn't get sacked. Like they would.
Yeah.
They would figure out their thing, and they'd be like, okay, that was the game.
I think it's a fun way to do it. I think figuring out how to solve your conflicts using sports is much better
maybe all international disputes should be settled in the boxing ring. You know,
either sumo wrestling. Like, can you imagine Trudeau taking on Trump in a sumo wrestling match?
Hey, I don't know. I think actually Trudeau did box like a conservative politician in Canada to raise money.
He had like a wrestling match.
No, he did a boxing match.
Boxing match.
Yeah.
Who won? The other guy.
He won. No.
Cool.
He was some like I forget who it was exactly, but it was some conservative politician. And
do you think Putin would beat Angela Merkel? Put her in a headlock?
I don't know.
Or do you think Angela Merkel would put Putin in a headlock?
I think Angela Merkel's probably got some tricks up her sleeve.
I think so too.
You know?
Yeah. Do you think Theresa May would win against the guy from Saudi Arabia?
I don't know. He's pretty young, so maybe not. But she might be able to. It might be fun to see her go up against like Kim Jong Un.
She would bitch slap Kim Jong Un.
Well, it's pretty funny though. I mean,
like, Kim, put down the cake. Put down the cake.
Yeah.
So, you know, like, world politics is funny to me, and always looking at it through that lens of like a busy imagination, like, makes me imagine, like, do you know how many countries there are on Earth? On the planet right now?
I want to say 196. No,
I think you're way. That's under. I think it's like 269 countries. Imagine 269.
Whoa.
I think it's like 269 countries. Imagine all of those with leaders.
195.
Is that current? Is that Google?
That's Google.
Okay, I'm wrong.
I was pretty darn close.
How many did you say?
What? I said 196. And
wow.
This article also says by some definitions there are 197 countries. So I would say I had a pretty good compromise.
Does this include places which are like recent, like Southern Sudan? I hope you're not reading an article from like 2008. Southern Sudan, Djibouti. Look, Southern Sudan and
what did you
Eritrea.
Say? 260?
216.
216.
Yeah,
no, we're not there yet.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. No, it's
okay. But what I was trying to imagine, like, okay, even for the 197 countries, that the countries that you know off the top of your head could probably be about 20.
I think I know more than 20 countries.
Really?
Yeah.
You've traveled extensively, right?
I don't know about extensively. I've been to several countries. I haven't been to 20 countries, I don't think.
Okay, but you've traveled and seen some, which is one of the reasons. What brings me to one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about, which is going to be. So you imagine all these other places with like their leaders and their food and their culture and what they find humorous and what they don't find humorous. Like, what I might find humorous might be offensive to somebody else.
Right.
Like, when I first moved over to the United States, I found some of the humor that I lost my sense of humor because people would not understand how my jokes were crafted, you know?
Right.
I think I'm a funny guy.
You are a funny guy.
Yeah. Not like funny, like clownish funny, but like funny. Like
witty, like you make jokes.
Like witty, yeah. I can make a few jokes to keep the party going. But in the first moments when I just moved over here, I found it, people would not really understand where the joke was coming from or how it's structured. And even with my partner Miriam, sometimes she would crack jokes and sometimes I would miss the sarcasm in it because her sarcasm is just that very fast.
Right.
But after years of like living together with each other, I'm like, I know exactly when it's coming and I know how her brain thinks, and it's funnier.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it's timing and a lot of it's delivery too, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that also you have an accent here would mean that that's an extra disadvantage because people aren't necessarily expecting, a quick joke or a delivery. Like a lot of times jokes are like, an element of surprise. Yeah. So if somebody hears something they're not used to and they hear it with a bit of an accent, they can be like, wait, what?
Yeah. So we were having food at, there's a place called Cantor's in Los Angeles. and it's right
Cantas?
on Cantas. Cantas? Canters.
Cantas.
I say Cantas.
Cantas.
Canters.
Canters?
Canters. Are we saying Canters?
I don't know. Is it Canters?
Okay, it's Canterers. Canterers.
Cantas.
So we had Canters on Fairfax, and we were waiting for our meal, and it was like freezing cold.
Oh, you mean I think that's a Jewish diner, isn't it?
It's a Jewish diner in Fairfax because
Canters.
It's that street which has a lot of hip hop and a lot of Jewish people.
They have a long-standing open mic that I performed at actually
Over
when I first
there?
came to LA.
Whoa! So right when we were there, we were thinking about there's this dude who was just about to perform.
Yeah.
And me and my wife looked at each other and we were like, "Oh damn, this is like you 5 years ago." So you performed at that house as well?
Oh yeah, open mics are so funny. It's such a train wreck.
There were
every
like
time.
7 people, bro. There were like 7 people.
Yeah, I know,
the
and
whole
all
day
of
now.
them were performing.
Oh
right?
man, all
Yeah.
of them were performing.
Well, generally that's how it works, right? You have to go there. They don't give you an order. They draw names out of a hat, right?
yeah,
And then so
it's
because
by chance that
it
you
means
perform.
that, but it means that because you have to wait till your number to get pulled, you're at least the audience for the person performing.
Oh wow, it's such a I was telling you, like in this funny place, it's where we usually go for like, because my wife is Jewish and Jewish traditions, and we don't have a lot of family in LA, so sometimes we just go over there and just have like celebrate a Jewish holiday in a Jewish.
You go to Cantor's to celebrate Jewish holidays?
Yes, and we eat like stuffed cabbage or some brisket,
Beef tongue sandwich or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
some stuff like that. But there was this dude that just came through. He was moving and he was in like, I think it was like early stages of like Parkinson's.
Okay.
And he was moving through, and I think he realized that he was struggling, and all of us were looking at him struggling.
Okay.
So right as he passed us, he said, "Do not get old." Like, I might not even be delivering it really well, but the way that he said it, it was so unexpected that it took all of us by.
He told you
by
not.
surprise.
He told you not to get old.
But it was the way that he delivered it that made it like really, really funny. And I remember how funny Jewish people are.
Yeah.
That their sarcasm and their humor sometimes in the most mundane situations brings a smile to the face.
Yeah.
And he embodied that. But back to the conversation that we had about countries, our 195 countries.
We're going back.
I never asked you from the period that I've known you, right? You always mentioned having visited Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
Tanzania.
You say Tanzania?
Tanzania.
Sounds better.
Yeah, Tanzania. It's like, and I would like to know what your experiences of what was that journey like? What were you doing there? What's the first thing you saw? What did you expect before you got there? Let's begin with the first question. How did you get to travel to Tanzania? What were you doing there?
Okay, so I was part of a teen mission program called Teen Challenge. And no, not called Teen Challenge. That's a totally different thing. That's a drug rehab program. It was called Teen Missions.
Yeah.
And so it's set up that organization has a boot camp. They call it a boot camp. They run it like a military operation.
Yeah.
In Merritt Island, Florida, which is like a swamp. Okay.
Is that where they send like bad kids? Were you a bad kid and you're being sent there, or it was like one of those things where?
No, this is one of these things where you raise money from your church for them to give you so that you can get the money for your ticket.
Yes.
To for the program. So whatever I had to raise, a few $1,000s. Then you get on a school bus. I got on a school bus in Canada.
Yeah.
I think at Yorkdale Mall.
Yeah.
And you get loaded onto a bus, and then they drive all the way to Merritt Island, Florida, stopping along the way, picking up more kids as you go.
Okay.
So it was a good over a day on
You mean
this bus.
Florida, like South Florida?
Yeah.
So from Canada to Florida, that's like 6 hours?
No,
Is
that's
it longer?
That's like probably like 20 hours.
Wow. Okay.
16, maybe it was something like that. But it didn't stop except to pick up kids. And the whole time, it wasn't like I was on a Greyhound with like a lounge seat.
Yeah.
It was a school bus.
Oh, Was there Wi-Fi at least?
No.
Okay.
Nothing like that.
It even gets worse.
This was in This was in 2001.
Before buses had Wi-Fi.
Way before bases had Wi-Fi. So the first thing they told us is like when you get to Merida Island, Florida, you're gonna get off the bus, and like basically everyone packed their stuff in a duffel bag, like the military, right?
Yes.
So your duffel bag's on the roof of this bus.
Yeah.
You drive all the way to Merida Island, Florida. As soon as you get out, you're supposed to find your group leader, and then they're gonna throw this duffel bag to you. And as soon as you get out, you start getting bit by mosquitoes immediately.
It's Florida. It's the tropics, right?
Oh, it's so, yeah, but it's like a swamp. This is like a really particularly terrible place.
Yes.
And I think their idea is, we're going to make all these teenagers from America, mostly. I was from Canada, but there was mostly Americans on the trip. We're going to make them all deal with some really bad situations before they go anywhere else, so that when they finally get to Africa, they're going to be like, wow, this place is really nice.
Yeah.
And that, I would say that worked actually pretty well. But so then you get a wheelbarrow and you have to like get to your tent site. And the whole time you're like carrying this wheelbarrow and your duffel bags in the front and you're pushing it down this dirt road. Yeah. And mosquitoes, like you just look down and there's like 5 or 6 mosquitoes on one arm and the next arm. And like you don't really have time to stop and brush them off.
But the mosquitoes in the U.S. don't have malaria, right? You can't get malaria from the
not
mosquitoes
anymore,
here.
generally, no.
Okay.
But you know, who knows? You can you can still get like dengue fever.
Elephantiasis.
I don't think you get elephantitis. No.
Is it called elephantiasis or elephantitis?
I always learned it as elephantitis, but I could be wrong. Potato.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the team that I was on, the whole thing ended up sort of eventually seeming kind of ridiculous at a certain point, but it was a Christian mission program. So they thought that what Tanzanians need was a group of about 20 16-year-olds to bring to them the message of Jesus. Yeah. But what we should have probably realized is that 60% of the country is already Christian, I believe.
Yes.
So they already knew, but that didn't stop us from going. So. And at the time, this seemed like the right thing to do. I was like 16 at the time.
Yeah.
This seemed like a good thing.
Were there like elimination rounds, like Full Metal Jacket? Like, like you run through hurdles and
some people get
eliminated.
Some people couldn't make it. Some people did not make it. This is the first time I was exposed to like the Southern Bible Belt kind of Christianity, which is pretty colorful to say the least. And then we were also, the other thing that was funny about it was this was like 2 weeks, right? And we'd have to wake up at 4 a.m. and run an obstacle course and like do all this stuff.
4 a.m. That's torture.
Oh yeah.
At 16?
Yeah. It was rough. Not that rough, but it was it was a little rough. But the more bizarre parts was they started making us take malaria medication, because we were going to a place where there was malaria, or at least a chance of malaria. And the ones they gave us, I think, was called Lariam, and it's however it works, it's really psychoactive. Like if you have a history of like schizophrenia in the family, you're not supposed to take it, or any kind of mental illness, you're not supposed to take it, because it sort of messes with your brain. So we would
in Africa, we wouldn't know. They just give it. Oh, you have that? Okay, have that. There's no,
Yeah, so, but this was funny because we would all meet at night in a tent, and they would have some minister giving a speech, and then sometimes that would also be like right after we took our malaria medication.
Yes.
So then the speech would be especially hilarious. Like one time, there was an older pastor that came out, and his job was to tell the message that he wanted to convey was that like all these kids should honor God with their language, and they shouldn't be swearing,
Okay.
which is which is a pretty funny message. Yeah. But the funniest thing about it was like he was I think he must have been in his like late 70s or 80s or something.
Yeah.
He was very out of touch with anything about like what swear words we even would have used.
Yes.
Because he said like, even here in this supposedly Christian place, when we walk around.
Why is this sounding like Martin Luther King?
Well, he was a Southern preacher. He's like, we can walk around and we can hear the wicked words coming from the children's mouths. And then he proceeded to list them. He said, words like fanny,
What?
And tush. And even caboose. And when he said caboose, I remember falling off my chair laughing. Because I don't think I heard anyone say fanny or caboose or tush.
Isn't that like 60s like swearing?
Oh yeah, no, it was hysterical.
Yeah.
There was also one of the ministers was also like a gay conversion pastor.
Oh my God.
Where he was like, I used to be gay and I used to go to all the gay places and do all those gay things. And he like looked off and you could see he was...
In a southern accent?
Yeah. And you could see though that he was like talking about it and he was getting a little hot and bothered. Yeah. And he's like, but now I'm free of that. And I've married my beautiful wife and have 3 children. And he like pointed to them.
Yeah.
And like his wife's in the front row and she's kind of like...
Oh my God.
He's like, and now I never have to do any of those gay things again. And I don't know. I was still pretty wrapped up.
Did he sound gay as he was talking about?
Oh, he sounded super gay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. He was definitely gay.
Yeah.
But he decided to get married and have kids. I just remember, I mean, this was like sort of even, I think, at the beginning of that whole like gay conversion therapy movement. And I remember already feeling like, this is weird.
Yeah.
This is not, something's off about this. There was something off about so much of this.
Yes.
In fact, it's like it's probably one of the main reasons that I eventually decided that, the church wasn't for me.
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about people swearing and people, all this archaic, not archaic. That archaic is not a word. Like what used to be swears right now could as well pass for normal language.
Yeah.
Like you say tush.
Tush.
That was like...
Or fanny.
It was something that people wouldn't do back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And I remember back in Uganda, women wearing mini skirts was like... women wearing men's trousers used to be a thing. Like they were called malaya. And malaya is the word they use for slut.
Oh, yeah.
So years down the road right now, everybody, members of parliament and... respectable women all wear trousers.
Right.
And you have some kind of suit that they put, like a pantsuit,
A pantsuit, yeah.
Like Hillary's pantsuit.
Yeah.
But years before that, actually, from the time I was even still, I was aware of my surroundings when that was still going on, where women that were wearing trousers were called sluts.
Yeah. And
wearing a miniskirt, men would try to undress the women because if you're a slut and you're trying to show us your thighs and blah, 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 and all that other stuff, then we deserve to see it all. But just a few years after that right now, it's the norm and it's the accepted norm, which puts more faith in me for my society. Yeah. That most of the things that we fuss about is actually just a matter of time before they become normal.
And all these women now, they get to wear pants.
The women get to wear pants, and it doesn't change anything about a woman's moral code.
Of course. And they owe that privilege that they get to now enjoy to all those sluts that wore that before.
Yeah, all the sluts that were undressed, all the women that wore panties, all the women that were called all sorts of names just to be able to dress in what you feel comfortable in, what you could work in, and for a woman to fight for her position. The women that are wearing pants right now owe that to those women. Just like the women right now owe so much of their struggle to the suffrage movement.
Right.
Like so much stuff has changed. And in society, most of the things that people oppose for that era or for that period of time, they just sound stupid 30 years ahead or 20 or even 20 years ahead. And right now the world is changing more rapidly that most of the things that people oppose 5 years is enough of a difference for the whole society to change its mind about something. Yeah,
there's like the whole cultural shift. Isn't it interesting too, right? Like, my dad used to tell me that he remembered that he used to try to explain to me how completely outrageous it was when he first saw the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show. And what was outrageous about it was that these guys had hair down to their eyebrows. That they did.
That was outrageous?
It was so, it was like the only time a man would wear his hair that long was if he was like homeless or something. And it was like they could not believe it. Like
Yeah.
it was unbelievably shocking. It was like Kiss, you know, like wearing
Yes.
like crazy makeup
Yes,
and stuff.
yes,
Like it was really shocking.
Yeah, actually, when you're talking about the swearing thing, what I was thinking about in that moment was how Elvis Presley was on TV, and his first performance he couldn't perform. They couldn't show the full screen. They wouldn't show below his. They call it portrait mode. They just like got it's just his bust, like above his navel, because they said the way his thighs were gyrating and the way that he used to dance was so profane.
Yeah.
So people have been that uptight in the South, like for so long, because that was like Southern television.
Yeah.
And right now, looking at television and how we see Game of Thrones and women are naked, and we have shows called Sex in the City. I know it's like a thing of the past, but see how liberal and how times have changed.
Yeah.
You know, like that guy seeing the Beatles with long hair long up to their eyebrows, and it's like only a homeless person would do that. Nowadays, people do it for fashion. So, even in my own beliefs, like there's things that I used to believe in that have changed so much, you know?
Yeah.
And also in my society, I've observed like how time has impacted upon some beliefs, and I can only hope that time opens up even more eyes to see more realities of life, you know? And
right.
be open to things that might not be familiar to you. So back to you're going to Tanzania, and then you're at boot camp, and then all these funny things happen. How do you actually get to? So you survive full metal jacket.
Full metal jacket.
Yeah,
2 weeks of that.
Yes.
And hilarity, just hilarity.
Yes.
Then we eventually have to take all these airplanes, right? Because we're gonna go from like I don't know where. I guess it was like Miami to Newark to Rome to Addis Ababa to
why would you go to all those stops?
Because there's no direct flight from Miami to Dar es Salaam, I guess.
What?
Did you think there was a direct flight?
Miami to Dar es Salaam. No. There wouldn't be a direct flight, but I would imagine it would be from Miami to JFK to Dubai or Amsterdam or
Dubai. That's a little out of the way, no?
No. Dubai is like a very big hub for most of the planes going to
that makes sense.
to Africa. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
because
this
it
was
would be
2001.
Emirates. So what airline was it? Do you remember?
Ethiopian Air.
Oh, Ethiopian Air.
Yeah,
Damn.
there was some.
Shout outs to Ethiopian Air transporting people since Haile Selassie days.
Yeah, Ethiopian Air. You know what was cool is that immediately we got on and we're like, oh dang, the music on here is cool.
What kind of music was it?
It was sort of like video game reggae. You know, it was like MIDI. I think it was mostly. It seemed like it was composed on a MIDI keyboard. But you know, it was like, and there was always like this backbeat kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah,
that sound annoys me. That sound that you're talking about, like I love Ethiopian music. I don't know what sound you're listening to, but I the way that you've described it, the way that people play piano in churches in Uganda is so annoying to me.
Really?
Like it's like some sound. Like even when I'm working with a producer and he tries to play piano like that, I tell him to not to go that direction.
I want to find out what that is
it's
with you in the
so
studio.
Annoying.
And then I want to put a whole record out of just that organ music.
It wouldn't make money, trust me.
No?
It wouldn't make. It's so annoying.
Are you sure I couldn't get a deal with Ethiopian Air maybe?
No, Ethiopian Air, I think by that time, which year was that? 2001. I think they have moved a lot away from that sound right now, because that sound is what wakes you up when most of the churches in Uganda are like praying, and most of them don't know how to pray quiet. I'm a spiritual person. I pray quiet. When I'm talking to my spiritual being, my spiritual energy that created me, that I do not even give a name, that I don't understand fully, I'm quiet. We're having quiet conversations. I'm having conversations of introspect. But most of these other churches scream in your ear.
Right.
My dad has a joke where he says, Katonda chirabi katawulira bantu oba Katonda chaiko oba agenda kufuna oba Katonda chigala. And it means that maybe God is deaf because all these people are screaming. Like in the morning, the Muslims shout.
Right.
Allah, Salah.
Oh, yeah.
In the evening, it's the Christians with that piano. Oh, my God.
We used to hear it. We used to joke about, I mean, to me, it was the first time I heard it in Moshi.
Yeah.
And so at night, or like however many times, 5 times a day, is it 4 times a day?
Yes, Moshi is a very Muslim town,
yeah.
right?
So
Moshi,
you hear
Tanzania.
like, no. And we used to go, let's get ready to rumble.
Funny kids, man.
Yeah.
The Muslims don't kill us, by the way. We haven't talked anything about Muhammad. We're just talking about how people call people for prayers.
Yeah.
They might come for your head.
They might. Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
Bioma was talking about how...
but how foolish to be, or how sad that we allow ourselves to be intimidated by that. When
That's what he was talking about. That with all this freedom of speech, you're allowed to exercise your speech.
Yeah, but the fact that the cartoons that those journalists got murdered for, was like Charlie Hebdo.
Did they actually get murdered or they were arrested?
No, there was a terrorist broke into their office and shot a bunch of people.
Wow. Was that the French? Was it French?
In France, yeah. But then there was hardly any U.S. publications that published what those drawings were.
Because they were afraid of what, of how other people might react.
Yes, and I think that's bad. I think they should have, because we should have stood in solidarity with a cartoonist's right to mock a religion.
Yes, yeah. As much as I do not agree with most of the things that other people do, I believe in their right to express those views. Yeah. I believe in people's rights to express whatever they feel should be put out in the air. That's why I don't accept the liberal censorship of art. Yeah. In form of that right now you cannot say what you feel because everything it needs to be edited to be politically correct. Otherwise you're put in a box where you could lose your job and you're part of the problem. Yeah. But the world has never gotten far. The world has never been built by people just agreeing with each other. It takes people arguing about things and then they find better solutions. Right. Like if all of us were to agree and please each other, that means if we're not true to our feelings and we're not coming from a place of truth, then that means we are compromising on what we could achieve as a society. So as much as I don't agree... What was that?
And the terrorists win.
No, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. But yeah, and I'm going to defend 2 points. Like from those two, there are 2 things. Let me first finish the point of I agree in the right. In every right, everybody has a right to exercise their freedom of speech. The cartoonists can do whatever they want. It's their paper. It's their newspaper. I don't give a fuck what you believe. It's that person's right to put that kind of you have the right to impart. When I was reading stuff about the freedom of speech, you have the right to impart your ideas upon other people. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's through art. You can draw it. Sometimes you can say it. You can write it in a book. You have your right to do that.
You can sing a song about it.
You can sing a song about it. There's nothing more free in... I've never felt more free than when I was able to curse whenever I wanted to. Like, just to say the word fuck. Yeah. Like... Often I feel like saying the word fuck. You get me? Yeah. But me saying the word fuck is so liberating to me. It gives me my sort of freedom because I've never been able to say that without being put in a box. Because sometimes coming from where I come from, I'm put in a box of you're the role model. You're not meant to be any wrong. Mm. But from my truth and in my introspect, you can be true to yourself and be true to your feelings and do good instead of being a pretentious fuck. Instead of being a pretentious fuck, you can do good and express yourself however you want to, as long as your actions speak for what you feel. You get me?
Yeah.
So most of the times I find our society is so bent on what the person says or how they say it, instead of what's actually being done that impacts upon lives.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to just reiterate that second point? You lost me.
Yeah. Okay. Let me put it this way. In society, people are so concerned with a well-spoken politician instead of what the politician actually does. If a person is well-spoken, but at the end of the day, they are not doing anything for your community, what role does that serve? I'd rather have a person who curses and expresses himself fully to get his point across and does things that are positive for society. But right now we are stuck, especially in the West, where everything has to be politically correct, and you need to have a wife standing by your side, and you need to have the staff family, and your language needs to be trimmed, and, like limiting all kinds of expression,
right,
in order to be a leader. And we have sanitized the whole image of a leader to be this meticulous, pious person, that who is not even real. People are not like that in their real lives, but we as a society would rather be lied to than have a person speaking to you honestly and doing the deeds that they promised you. I don't care how you say shit. I don't care what you say, as long as you get the point across. I don't care how you say it, as long as you get the point across and execute what's good for the community. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
In defense of those
cartoonists. As long as it's good for the community?
As long as it's good for the community.
So you're not into it if it's not good for the community. But then who decides whether or not it's good for the community?
In my earlier point, I said, they have much as I don't agree with so many people expressing their views.
Yeah.
They should have that right to express them.
Right.
So even if I don't agree with you, I would prefer you to express your views fully.
Yeah. So so basically freedom of speech should include the right to offend, right? Like if these cartoonists get murdered because they did something offensive, the response shouldn't be, well, let's not publish that because it's offensive. The response should be, it's outrageous to murder someone because you're offended. That's not okay.
Yeah, no, the law is already there. The law is already there. You cannot touch me if I said something offensive.
Right.
It would be assault. It would be murder.
Yeah.
It would be battery. Right?
Right.
But I have a right to say and express my views without slandering you in public. I didn't slander you personally. Right. That's where the limitation is.
Right.
But if it's just your beliefs, then fuck you. You get me? Fuck you. I have a right to say whatever I want to say.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so. So, Ethiopian Air.
So, Ethiopian Air, that's where we are. Yes, you're on Ethiopian Air in Rome.
So, what was fun about it was, we landed in Rome. I don't know if I took Ethiopian Air. We might have got on Ethiopian Air in Rome. I don't think we took it from Newark. Anyway, we flew in actually to Rome at night and saw fireworks from the plane, and that was awesome.
Was that New Year's Day? Did you arrive on New Year's Day? What was the
No, it was a summer. I don't know. Just some Italian fireworks.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like it made any particular sense, but it was pretty cool.
Was it the godfather's wedding day? The daughter's wedding day?
I don't think. Maybe it was. Okay. But anyway, we got on, and because it was before 9/11, and because I was like,
this was before 9/11.
Yeah.
This is like before 9/11.
This was 2001.
Should have an acronym on of its own.
Well, no, but I visited the cockpit on every plane.
Wow.
Yeah, and when we were flying from Rome to Addis, I went to the cockpit, flying over Egypt, and we could see, and I hung out with the pilots for like an hour and a half in the cockpit, so I had the bigger window.
Yes.
And we could see the Nile just like snaking around the whole continent.
That's so dope.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
And also it was just like from up there, you see it's just desert everywhere. but then there's like these little, packs of green and farmland just hugging the Nile as it snakes everywhere.
Yeah.
It was, you really get a sense of like, oh, I see how important that river is to anyone who tries to live there.
Yeah. The Nile to me is one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen or ever have had to experience. And it's the pride of my country because that's the source, like right there.
Oh, does the Nile flow into Uganda?
Yes, it's where it begins its journey.
Oh.
Up north.
Wow. So it starts in Uganda.
It starts in Uganda. And I've been making jokes all around Hollywood that it's the original Wakanda,
Yeah.
Because I think the writer kind of describes the land, which is like my homeland.
Yeah.
And Uganda, Wakanda kind of rhymes. So.
Do you ever just get in a canoe and try to float to Egypt?
No, you wouldn't because there are rapids. People just do whitewater rafting.
Okay.
Or do bungee jumping on the Nile is really popular.
Whoa.
But also you have like these massive crocodiles. Like like the Nile has like those massive, like huge crocodiles that like roam its shores.
So you don't swim it so much?
No, people swim, but they swim on... I've seen people swim and they know where the crocodiles don't go where the water is fast. So it depends on how good of an experienced swimmer you are.
So if you can swim really fast upstream,
and you can't swim upstream. I think they swim. I don't know. But they find spots where to swim where the crocodiles aren't. But those crocodiles are bigger than you. They're like so tall and so big and massive. Nile crocodiles, I think, are like really. I think it's some of the biggest crocodiles out there.
Isn't it? The hippos that are the most dangerous?
Yeah, but most of the hippos, I haven't seen a hippo along the Nile, but I've seen most hippos. Hippos are the most dangerous. Hippos kill more Africans, and this might be wrong. You might fact check me on this. But hippos might kill more people in Africa than even mosquitoes.
No way.
Okay, mosquitoes kill more. I realized it as I said it that might be wrong. But hippos are responsible for killing more people than even lions, if I could mention.
I'm sure they kill more than lions.
Yeah.
Let's just check. Let's just check right now, real quick. How many people die from hippos?
The deadliest. What are the world's deadliest animals? Yeah, but like Uganda has so many hippos. Uganda has so many crocodiles. We have so many. The national bird is called the crested crane. It's like gray, red.
Okay.
Black and some yellow, and basically it gives our flag the colors that it has.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
So it's a bird of grace. It's a bird of beauty, and it dwells in the swamps. It dwells in the dry land. It flies in the air.
What's it called?
It's called the crested crane.
The crested crane.
Yeah, I think there are two species of crested crane in the world, but we have the gray one. The gray one is our national bird.
The gray-crowned crane.
Yeah, the gray-crowned crane, yeah. Wow. And it has a crown on top of its head. It's like a really beautiful bird.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's endangered.
It's very endangered. So Uganda should do a little bit more on preserving that, and being a guy that's passionate about preserving animals and that beauty, I think I should take it up as my responsibility to preserve first the pangolin, because that's my clan animal. It's the most trafficked animal in the world.
The what?
The pangolin.
The pangolin?
Yeah, look it up. So the pangolin is called the Lugave, where I come from in Buganda. And from the pangolin, my next responsibility would be the national bird.
Whoa, that's right. Pangolins are like...
Yeah, look at those beautiful shells, That's my totem right there.
That's you.
Those are my roots. Like, my clan is named after that shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So the pangolin, the crested crane, and I think baboons, my next favorite. And then giraffes. I love giraffes for some reason. Giraffes and elephants.
Giraffes are pretty cool.
Yeah,
Elephants
but I think it's every person's responsibility to take care of animals. And
how can you it's I totally agree, and I think we need to do that, but I think we're probably not going to be able to do that until all the people are fed, right?
Until all the people are fed.
I don't know. I just think if you It's hard to tell. I imagine it's hard to tell someone in a village, or a farmer, that they need to protect the elephants when like the elephants are the main reason they lose their crops.
Yeah, but there's some kind of I've seen societies that have been able to have holistic approaches to that.
Holistic approaches?
Yeah, we have like a holistic approach where
elephant yoga.
That would be dope.
What do you mean by
like
what do you mean?
Dog paws elephant.
Oh, do you mean like?
But I'm talking about like where you show the farmers how beneficial the life of an elephant is to the whole community, because to societies where the tourist dollar, pound, yen, or wherever it comes from, if you share the revenue that comes out of the tourism with the local community is going to see more value in having those animals there. But the problem is that the government just takes that money. Often in most African countries, in my countries, we've done a good job, actually. The government has done so many things that haven't gone right yet, but we have done actually a good job of sharing resources with the local communities. That's a good thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because with the gorillas, you have the Batwa people from Western Uganda taking care of the gorilla population while also sharing the resources that come from the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe if that formula is replicated with so many other areas, like the Chinese do with the pandas,
Yeah.
Like if we replicate that, it's our responsibility. We can eat, we are capable of walking and chewing gum as human beings. So we can protect the animals and also be able to protect the starving kids.
Right.
We can gazette areas for protection, and we can also have areas that feed everybody. But our governments sometimes have this challenge where they can only tackle one thing at a time. Yet I believe governments and societies should have a holistic approach to solving society's problems.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
So did you see any animals when you were in Tanzania?
Saw a bunch of monkeys.
I love monkeys, man.
Yeah.
What
cool.
do you know the type?
I don't. We didn't have. There was a bunch of things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well, like we went right to the foot of Kilimanjaro. Didn't climb to the top.
Why? Who goes to Kilimanjaro and doesn't climb Kilimanjaro?
Me. But it wasn't of my own choosing. You know what I mean? Like I was with a huge group, and that they were all about hanging up close to it, but not climbing it.
Were they drunk, or Christians weren't drinking?
No, they weren't drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So went to Dar es Salaam, Moshi, and mostly sort of like walked from Moshi up into the foothills all around Tanzania. So it was beautiful. It was super beautiful.
Did you make it to Dar es Salaam?
We did, yeah.
Did you love Dar es Salaam? What about Dar es Salaam did you like or not like?
Well, we were just there pretty quickly. They didn't let us run around and too much. But no, it seemed really cool. It's the kind of place I'd want to go back as an adult.
Mm-hmm. I would like to go back to Africa with you. I would like to go back to Uganda and then make you see some of the spots that I think are dope. I would like to see Zanzibar again. I've been to Zanzibar twice.
Cool.
That's a place that I would just like want to build a house over there and like live over there. I would like to go to this Zanzibar, the Seychelles Island. I would like to go to Gulu, and there's a Gulu and then Chidepo. Like these are like really, really nice places.
That's cool.
Like you could just build your house out there in the wilderness and just fly with a chopper. We're going to get choppers, right?
Yeah, let's get choppers and monster trucks.
Yeah, let's get choppers and monster trucks and go out to Chidepo and protect the environment and then write books and,
Sounds good. Sounds good.
It just sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was cool. I thought the people were amazing, super friendly. The food was great. Everyone was so hospitable everywhere we went.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted to share food and party, and it was.
Did you drink any beer while you were there?
We weren't really allowed to be anywhere
because
near
it's
that.
Christian.
Yes. Exactly.
Why do Christians ruin all the fun? Jesus drank wine for Christ's sake.
Yeah, I think
for Christ's sake.
I think it was the there's a joke. I think it was like the Dutch Reform.
Did you get my joke?
I did.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I thought you had missed it.
No, the joke was that there was there was a person, I think it was a Catholic or someone who asked a Dutch Reform guy, why don't you drink wine? Jesus made water into wine.
Yeah.
And he said, that's the one thing we have against Jesus.
Oh man, like I do not get why people if something tastes good and makes life better, stop. Yeah. Like most of these other people who are like reformers, conservatives, and all of that other nonsense, like most of them, as soon as something feels good and it adds the flavor to life, stop.
It might be dangerous.
It might be dangerous. Like, come on. We were put on this earth to live our lives to the fullest, to live life out loud.
Well, not according to them, no.
Sometimes I read the most nonsensical articles out there in life. Sometimes I stumble upon...
Do you Google that, like, specifically?
Like sometimes I just go to Wikipedia and, like, spend time looking at shit. Or trying to understand the most mundane things about American culture, Western culture, and historical figures. And then I was reading about... who are these guys who don't use power?
The Amish.
The Amish.
Yeah. There was an Amish community really close to where I grew up.
I'm not trying to laugh at the Amish people. They might be up to something.
I respect the Amish in a lot of ways.
I respect the Amish, yeah.
But, I mean, they're definitely treading lightly on the earth and messing things up a lot. Okay, we're back.
Okay.
They're definitely messing things up less than... You should clap again. So you can edit. So you can line that up.
Yeah,
we lost the audio for a second.
Yeah, we lost the audio for a second, but we are back with the Amish people and the buggies.
Yeah, so I grew up close to Amish people. There was a big community there, and they
actually you have an Amish look.
Well,
you're
as a matter of
missing
fact,
the height right now. And the beard.
I did want to tell you something about the way my life is going. No, Amish people don't believe believe that you shouldn't use electricity, so they live pretty much completely off the grid. They do farming by hand. They build barns.
What about Jesus and God? Do they believe in Jesus, first of all?
Oh, yeah. They're very Christian.
So what about Jesus and God says no to... Why is electricity evil?
I don't know. I don't know what their actual reasoning is for that.
When they get sick, do they get operations or get operated on?
I think so. I think you know what? I need to research this a whole lot more.
We need an Amish friend.
The Amish are a very strong community. Like they share things amongst themselves. They, the barn building tradition. When a couple gets married, they like get together and build them a barn. Everyone comes and like works like crazy.
Everybody gets a barn.
You get a barn if you get married.
You get a barn. You get a barn. You get a barn.
Only if you get married.
Okay.
But their community is amazing. But if you want to get a cell phone, or you want to drive a car, or you want to start using these sort of modern technologies, they shun you from the community in a very serious way. Like it's like you don't exist to them anymore. That's every so Amish person can choose to go into the world. They can decide to leave.
Yeah, but
they're not going to be accepted by the community anymore.
But that's so unreal. And maybe I haven't really read so much about the Amish, but feelings are not like that you can just switch them on and switch them off.
Feelings
are not like that. You cannot just switch on your feelings and turn them off.
It depends how good you are at meditating.
Okay, I need some work. I still need more work in my meditation. But the point that I was trying to make was that, and there's the Amish, and then there is the Mormons, right?
Yes.
So in those communities, and the Quakers began developing bread which was unleavened, because they believed that the bread which had leaven in it, the one that rises, kind of like has some kind of sweetness that could seduce you to evil. So all this shit that people chew, like the stuff which Quaker oats or whatever, which the stuff that doesn't have sugar, they also have a little bit of sugar, but that stuff it's rooted in trying to remove all the sweetness out of life, so you could just have that bread dry.
Yeah.
So that you can contemplate upon how bland
So you can just,
and sweet life
you can
is.
just eat that dry cracker.
Fuck off.
Just eat that dry cracker and contemplate not doing anything too crazy.
Exactly.
I don't know. You think it makes you do something more crazy in response?
Of course, because every time I've tried to deny my body things that I've been used to enjoying in my life, every time I try to deny my body sends me messages and tells me how it's feeling about it.
You got 3 video cues to line that baby up.
Oh yeah.
We're back.
Yeah, and I was talking about how every time I deny my body something that it has been used to for a very, very long time,
yeah,
it reacts like in the most aggressive way, you know?
Can you give me an example?
We were talking about how we all wanted to become vegan, and they were like these very healthy choices.
Mm-hmm.
But when I denied my body beer, I went like full vegan. I denied my body. Beer is vegan, but I didn't want any alcohol. I wanted to completely live a healthy lifestyle. And
like a monk.
I even cut out sugar in my life. Like I was just taking tea without anything. Like, and having no meat.
But you had tea. The Mormons wouldn't have tea.
For real?
They don't do caffeine.
See? But okay,
that's probably why you fell astray.
At least I was, but at least I was having tea. But after a month, my body went into this kind of withdrawal and some kind of depression, and it was letting me know that this shit was not what it signed up for. You get me? My body was telling my soul, "You're fucking around right now. You should stop fucking around and get back to schedule." And the moment I began getting back to my normal schedule, I was happier. I was bouncing my ball and shooting threes, and life was much better again. I did that stint of not having anything alcoholic, not having anything meaty for about 2.5 months, and I was miserable.
So the moral of the story is, don't try to be a vegetarian, and don't try to quit drinking.
Don't quit drinking. Unless you're alcoholic.
I don't know about that, my man. I think you get used to stuff. I actually find like when I start eating really healthy for a while, I stop craving junk food. I only crave like vegetables and clean eating, you know?
Yeah.
And then when you start eating junk, then you start craving that, you know? Mm-hmm, so I think like a lot of sort of positive self-improvement things, you have to do it long enough that it creates a pattern, and then that's sort of who you become.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
I think to each his own, you know, because I'm not a guy who naturally craves like fries and all this fast food. That's not my first choice of things that I go to. Mm. But even in my moderation, because I believe I moderate a lot of stuff that I eat, I went to the extreme to be able to live the perfect life. The perfect life of no fries, no alcohol, no smoke. And it was during the time when I had quit smoking as well. So it was like I quit all these things, and it ended up costing me my happiness. I was more agitated. I did not want to talk to anyone. I was the nastiest person that I'd ever been.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I did not want to talk to people. I found everybody irritating and annoying. You get me?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the moment I got back to my normal self, this is what life is meant to be like.
So you think to each his own.
So I still quit smoking, but I quit all the bad behavior. Not the bad behavior. I quit all the behavior which I believe was impacting upon my life negatively. Mm-hmm. But a drink or two is not going to kill anybody.
Right.
You get me? It's not going to kill anybody.
Well, it could kill you if you're allergic to alcohol.
Are there people who are allergic to alcohol?
There are some.
Well, I'm not. That's why I said to each his own.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah. I'm going to be drinking until I die. I want to drink until I die. Like, what did Tyrion Lannister say? I imagined going out in my 70s or my 90s.
Yeah.
With a belly full of wine You know how the rest goes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, so let's talk about the end of Game of Thrones.
I was so fucking disappointed.
Were you?
I was so fucking disappointed.
What
did you guys watch that shit? Game of Thrones, is that the best that people could do?
Oh man, this whole season they phoned
I
it
could
in.
have written that shit better.
Yeah.
And
my favorite part of being disappointed by this last season of Game of Thrones was watching the writers after the episodes try to explain why they did what they did.
I did not even wait for that bullshit.
That was the funniest part.
No, do you know? I'm still hoping that wasn't the final. That they're going to surprise us with an alternative ending, because that can't be the ending of Game of Thrones. Are you fucking stupid? Are the writers that stupid?
What did you want to have happen?
So this is not even my original idea, but
Okay.
I saw an idea online, because I've been a fan of Game of Thrones. I'm a Jon Snow fan. You get me? And somebody said, what if you just gave us a battle between Jon Snow and what was his name? Grey Worm, so that Jon Snow could fight for his freedom. That alone would have given us a better ending. And I totally agreed.
I always thought Jon Snow was kind of the lamest character.
Really?
Yeah, he was kind of...
Why?
Because he bent the knee, because he's just kind of like a... weak dude.
Loyal? A loyal person? He was loyal.
He was just sort of lame. I was always irritated by him a little
Jon
bit.
Snow was the truth.
To be honest, I quit after I think the third season, and then picked it up this season.
You quit after the third season.
But then I started again this season because it was like such a big thing.
Did you skip a season?
I skipped 3 seasons, I think.
Then you don't deserve to be voicing an opinion on Jon Snow.
Okay, fine.
Jon Snow saved Game of Thrones.
Okay. I stopped watching regularly because I found that I didn't care about any of the characters at all. I didn't find the stories compelling.
Who did you find most drawn to? Who are you most drawn to?
The dragon story was cool.
The
Dany and the
story?
dragon babies, that was cool.
Yeah.
The private army that she
Is she
liberated,
cute?
the slave
Is she
army.
beautiful in your eyes?
Sure.
Dany or Cersei? Who's more sexy?
Which one's Cersei?
Cersei is the queen. The queen, the Lannister.
Oh, the
queen.
Lannister, the evil Lannister queen?
Yes.
I would have to say Dany.
Dany, okay. Dany and the Stark,
This podcast
sisters.
is getting so bad.
No. This is
Okay, let's rank all the Game of Thrones characters.
No, I'm just talking about the women.
Okay.
Like, I would like to see where your taste is. Like the Lannister sisters. You might say, yeah. So,
I mean, they're
between Dany and Sansa.
Dany and Sansa.
Yeah,
they're both beautiful. They both got their own things going on.
Don't become like the people on the left who can't choose.
So you have to choose
one.
Choose one.
Yes,
probably Dany.
Probably. Sansa.
Wait, who's Sansa?
Sansa, the eldest Stark sister.
Oh yeah. Okay, maybe her then.
But have you seen Dany's assistant?
No.
You haven't noticed Dany's assistant? She's the sexiest woman in Game of Thrones, hands down.
Peter Dinklage?
Peter Dinklage.
Isn't he Dany's assistant?
Oh no, that's the hand. He's the hand. He's the hand
not
of
the
the
assistant.
queen.
He's the
but
hand.
the assistant is that other chick with the afro.
Oh.
Yeah. But I would take Sansa over Dany any day.
Well,
yeah.
There you have it,
To each
folks.
his own.
To each his own.
To each his own. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe in to each his own.
Why?
Because my opinion is way better. Just kidding.
Yeah, but are all men created equal?
Yeah.
Are all opinions?
Well, the idea of that.
Are all
first
opinions?
of all, you have to finish that.
Yeah.
You have to finish that because the idea that what was said was all men
Yeah.
are created equal in the eyes of God, which is essentially saying, because like if they had said that and meant it the way we think about it now, then
Yeah.
they would have had to abolish slavery then, right?
Yes.
But when they said it, they were saying that to negate the idea that there is like a king that is divinely chosen, because that's what every monarchy used to have to say.
So that was God the idea behind that.
Yes.
Okay.
That there's no need for a divine ordinance that says that someone should be king. That's not true. That we're equal and we should govern ourselves.
All men are equal in the eyes of God.
Yeah.
I've been reading some stories like lately about how many churches have been built upon the suffering of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen like from apartheid, they call it apartheid in South Africa, and how their division in the ranking of people was based upon Bible stories. You get me? And also in not Nigeria, in Ghana, there's this slave castle where people, there's a dungeon where they kept on shoving the captured people. And in that dungeon, there was nowhere the slaves would relieve themselves, right? So they kept on shitting in that fucker. So in that dungeon, there's like a slab. Like if this is the concrete, there's a slab this high of human shit that's like become solid.
Nice.
You get. But on top of that, on top of the dungeon, is where a church is built. They used to pray every Sunday while they are doing that to people in the dungeons.
Wow.
Like, to me, that's evil right there.
That's pretty messed up, yeah.
Like, if all men are created equal in the eyes of God, like, these people are like so twisted. And they never saw Africans as humans. And that was the explanation. That is the explanation.
Yeah, I mean, well, again, that quote was to mean that you don't need to have a king or a queen. That's what that was initially intended to mean.
Yeah.
And then we reinterpret it to mean all people once it became, morally obvious that slavery is immoral.
Yeah.
People didn't, for some reason, they didn't put that together at the time, or at least the mainstream culture didn't.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It seems crazy to us now, right?
Yeah, it seems very crazy to us right now. Did you see the idea? Did you see in Game of Thrones where I forget what his name is, the fat boy who was in
the Watchtower,
who when he suggested democracy, like what if the people,
and they all laughed.
There was a pause. I give him credit for that suspense, because there was suspense and then all of them just burst out and laughed.
Yeah. What's great is
like, what an impossible idea.
At the very end, it's like they decide, like, okay, so I guess just the rich people will decide now.
Yeah, all the rich people will decide for all the other people. And that's what's still going on up to now. That's
more or less what's going on right now.
Yeah.
We should wrap this podcast up, I think.
Yeah, I think what is the moral of the story here? The moral of the story, I think, to me, is the more people travel, the more their minds open up. The more you experience things, and the more time impacts upon beliefs, those beliefs change.
Right.
Like the ideas that are laughable at right now, when you look at slavery and what the Bible says about slavery, if you Google slavery in the Bible and what the Bible says about slavery, you'll find so many verses that condone slavery, that are saying, oh, you should beat your slave until they are A, B, C, and D. The slave should be obedient to their masters. But those are phrases that right now we can laugh at. When you look at what I was telling you about the dressing of women, like in my country, women that wore trousers, pantalon. If you were the pantalon, you were slut. But right now it's the norm, and ministers and respectable women wear these clothes,
Yeah.
So once time begins impacting upon beliefs, and the more people travel and experience things, society begins to change. So the moral of the story for me throughout this whole podcast, I think, is never be so set in what you believe that you're not willing to consider another frame of thought. What did you get out of this?
And to each his own. And let me end by telling
to each his own.
And let me end by just telling a quick story, which was like maybe one of my favorite, most memorable parts of my trip to Africa.
Yeah.
we were all in the back of this safari truck driving through the desert.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd been like going around all day, and the roads were, really, really not great roads, really bumpy. And we were all in the back of this safari truck holding onto these bars, right?
Yeah.
And the driver stopped and picked up 4 of his friends that were just like, I guess, local Africans.
Yes.
It was two men, 2 women.
Yeah.
And they came in the back. And we had our translator with us.
Yeah.
So then then we're all there, and they're there with the groceries. They're on their way home.
Yeah.
And then I asked the translator, I said, Zach, ask them if they'll sing us a song.
Uh-huh.
And they broke into the most beautiful 4-part harmony I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And the sun was going down, and it was like the Savannah Plains.
Yeah.
And it was like the Lion King soundtrack, but like the real version.
Oh, yeah?
The authentic thing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So the other moral of the story is don't be afraid to ask.
Never be afraid to ask.
And never be afraid to ask a safari truck full of Africans to sing.
They will be glad to. Like in Africa, we sing, we dance. Like that's the thing that people do.
It was awesome.
What you're talking about, asking. Every time I've been afraid to ask, and I've seen other people ask, and it has been granted, I've felt disappointed in myself for not having had the courage. So it's one of those things that I'm working on, even as me, as a human being, that if I want something, I go out there and get it for myself. If I can't get it for myself, I'm going to ask somebody to get it for me.
All right.
You get me?
Yeah.
So this has been the Zambaland podcast. It's your boy GNL Zamba and Ben Wilkins telling us about his journey to Tanzania. To most of you out there. And join us next week. We'll be having more special revelations, having more stories, and whatever that you're doing out there, remember in your life to be open-minded. Be open-minded to everything, because you don't want to hold on to an idea right now that's going to embarrass you to your grandchildren in the future. It's your boy GNL. Peace. Bye.
Zamba. Baboon Force. A legend.